Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our Dealing with Difficult Family Members During the Holiday session. We have a little tool that we're going to put you through, and I am going to share my screen. We have a PowerPoint. We have a nice forest here to symbolize peace during the holiday season, no matter what holiday you celebrate. Although I realize that those of you in the Southern Hemisphere probably have beachy weather, but we'll go with the peaceful trees in the past here. We have a lot that we can talk about when it comes to family dynamics in the holidays. And I did write a blog on this, so there's a lot written down about this. But in our session today, what we did is we compressed a lot of learning into a short period of time by using the acronym PEACE. So what I'd like you to do is get some paper out, and I'm going to walk you through an exercise around one person that is difficult for you, that you may be worried about spending time with during the holidays. So let's just pick this one person and get some paper out, and we're going to start with the letter P. So the first thing I want you to do is to prepare by thinking deeply about what your values are and what is most important to you. So in the class, we had a couple of different situations that came up. One was with someone who actually wanted themselves to be kinder. They noticed that often in family situations, they would get stressed out and snap at other people. So in their case, what they're going to be doing for P is writing, well, why is kindness important to me? Why is my own kindness important to me? And what I often ask you to do is say, why is it important to me? What is important to me about this? And then ask yourself 3 times, and why is that important? And then another time, and why is that important? And then another time, and why is that important? And that kind of takes you deeper and deeper and deeper into your core values. So I'm going to ask you to stop the recording and go ahead and think about why this is important to you, what you want to change in your relationship or in the environment with this specific person that's difficult or challenging for you, and why that's important. And ask yourself 3 times. Okay. So now that you've gotten some clarity on why this is important to you, the next thing we want to do is use the word E for empathize. So empathize, now we want you to take kind of a different tact. If what bothers you is the other person's behavior, so let's say you have a family member who's just really selfish during the holidays and their behavior bothers you for all of these different reasons, which you wrote down in the last question. In this particular letter of the acronym, you're going to empathize with that person by considering what the positive intention or value might be behind their behavior. And one thing that'll help you, especially if the person's behavior is just unfathomable, is to realize that every behavior that comes across as negative is usually being driven by a person feeling threatened by something. So for example, if someone is acting really selfish, maybe they're afraid that they won't get enough of something, right? Or if somebody is yelling, maybe it's because they don't feel like anybody cares about their opinion. So in this step, what I want you to do is empathize with the perspective and the positive intention, what the person is trying to accomplish, whoever it is that's doing the quote unquote negative or difficult behavior. And the reason I put that in quotes is because the behavior extends usually from something deep within that person. Often the reason behavior bothers us is because we're at the receiving end of the behavior and it feels bad. And so we react to that, and that actually doesn't get us anywhere. The reaction is often appropriate because we're getting triggered by negative behavior that's bothering us in some way, but reacting to the other person doesn't usually change the behavior, because the reason they're doing the behavior is not necessarily to hurt us. It seems like they're doing it to hurt us, but what they're really doing is it's usually being driven by their own inner conflicts, their own insecurities, their own fears. And that's usually what's driving the behavior. Now, in the example I gave you, someone was bothered by their own negative behavior, right? I'm not kind enough to other people. So in that case, we turn this around and you turn the empathy on yourself. So why am I not kind sometimes? You know, what's the positive thing that drives me to sometimes act impatient and snap at people? And if you're really used to being down on yourself for your lack of kindness, or maybe your lack of service, or maybe your lack of empathy, or whatever it is, this will give you an opportunity to really kind of look inside yourself with compassion. And it turns out the more compassion you give yourself, the more compassion you give other people. So it's a two-way street. You can't do it one way. You can't be mean to yourself and kind to others. If you're mean to yourself, no matter how hard you try to be kind to others, your meanness will come out. If you're kind to yourself, no matter how mean you are to others, kindness will come out. So I know that seems like a weird paradox, but that's why we use the E. So I'm going to ask you to stop the recording again and empathize. Empathize with whoever, whether it's you or somebody else, who's engaging in the behavior that makes this whole situation difficult, and try to understand what are the positive things that might be behind this behavior? What are the intentions? What are the values? What are the fears? Okay, let's move to the next letter, A. Okay, A is ask for what you need or what you'd like to change, even if you don't think people will agree. Now, in my example, she had to think about what she needed to feel in a state of mind where she could be more kind, right? So if I'm feeling really impatient, I might need some time to myself. Like, let's say I snap at my kids. Maybe what I really need is some time to myself, some mom time. Or maybe I have someone in my house that is really loud and belligerent, and maybe I need to ask for them to be quieter. Or I'm trying to think of something that's even different from this. Like maybe I have someone who's sitting around the house and not doing anything. We have a big family group and everybody's chipping in, but this person's just kind of sitting around and not helping cook, not helping clean, not really doing anything, not chipping in. Maybe they're just staring at the television or something. And there's always the opportunity there, even if you don't think they're going to get up, to ask them, hey, will you help me do this? Hey, will you help me do that? Even though you don't think you should have to ask. You need to get the judgment and shoulds out of here. So in this particular step, what I ask people to do is just write some possible sentences that you think you could use to ask for what you need. It may very well be that you get into the situation and you don't feel like you can ask. Or you get into the situation and you ask, but you have a snarky tone of voice and it just creates awkwardness and it ends up not working out. That's okay. Just writing down what you need and what you would ask for really brings you clarity, and it actually will automatically, subconsciously help you get a little bit more of what you need, whether you actually ask for it or not. The goal is to ask for it if you can, but if you don't ask for it, you just want to write what you might say if you did have the courage to ask for it. Okay, I'm going to have you stop the recording if you need to stop it to kind of get clarity on the sentence, and then we're going to move on to the next step. C. So C is care for yourself by owning your part in the stress and getting your own needs met. So I was talking to someone in the live class, and they said, for example, that they experienced a lot of resentment towards this other family member. And we don't feel things like resentment unless our needs are met. So if you're feeling resentful or impatient or any negative emotion at all, that's because in that moment you don't have a need met. Now, usually we are mad, resentful because we want other people to meet our needs. So part of owning your part in the stress and getting your own needs met is it's kind of rising yourself to a new level. So you're caring for yourself, but you're taking full responsibility and ownership for getting your needs met. And that means letting go of other people meeting your needs. So for example, let's say you need help because nobody else is contributing, right? How could you take responsibility for getting more help? If you can't ask your siblings for help, or if they're just not giving you enough help, can you hire a caterer? Or can you do something else that will make things easier for you? So what can you do to get your own needs met, lower your own stress without expecting other people in your family or in the situation to do that for you, even if you think they should? So part of this, and I wrote about this in the blog that goes along with this, is that we do want to change people. And most of the people that we want to change are in our families. But during the holiday season, there's so many extra stressors put on us and so many different expectations that usually that is the wrong time to get into serious discussions with other people about how they need to change. So usually I'll have you ask the question, how will I deal with this person if they don't change? And part of that is maybe this person should be kinder to me. Maybe this person should be more accommodating. Maybe this person shouldn't always have to be the center of attention. But let's assume that they're not going to change for this holiday season. So knowing that, how am I going to get my own needs met and handle the situation? Okay, let's go to our last letter, which is E again, but this E stands for expect things to go wrong because it takes time for things to change and have a backup plan. So here's the thing. If you work on yourself, other people around you will change. And this always happens in couples. We always want the other person to change. And we think we can't change the relationship if the other person isn't invested in changing. But you can work miracles in any relationship you have if you do your own work, if you work on your own growth, if you work on your own self-awareness, and if you work on taking responsibility for your own stress. So in doing that, things will change, but they change over time. So it takes probably 6 months, maybe 9 months of personal growth work before the relationships around you really start changing. And sometimes it takes years for them to change to the degree that you really want them to change. But the thing that's powerful is that you can have confidence that they will change if you do your own growth work. And that gives you control over a situation because you can't control other people. You can only control yourself. But just knowing that when you change yourself, your energy changes, what you're putting out there towards them changes, and they react to you differently, even if they're not aware at all. They will be reacting to you differently, and the dynamics of the relationships will change. But this is not going to happen fast. So chances are you're going to go into your same holiday situation, and despite your best efforts, even your best preparation, some of what's always happened will happen again. So what's a backup plan? What's a backup plan if you try asking for what you need and everybody just ignores you? You know, what's a backup plan if you find yourself completely exhausted again, right? This time, have a plan for it. Don't expect people to be different. Don't get caught up in wanting them to change, but just make a plan to take care of yourself. All right, so that is our acronym piece. This was a very short class, but the people that were in the class said they had so many bells going off in just a short period of time. And what we ended the class with is, okay, take all the bells that you have, all the insights that you got in this short period of time of watching this video, and see what you can do to put at least some of them in action. Okay. So thanks again for being with me today. Thanks for watching the video. And I wish you peace during the holiday season and during all the times that you have with difficult people in your life.